everyone. Today I've got my least anticipated films of 2020 list. Now, since I had previously made videos for my best and worst of 2019, it's a whole new year with a whole bunch of movies that are just waiting to be seen, and maybe not so much for this time around. I feel like maybe at the end of this year, I don't know if I'll end up liking them in the end, even though at the moment I'm not really looking forward to seeing them. So without any further ado, my number 10 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for A Quiet Place Part 2. Now, I had just recently done a trailer reaction for it, and some parts of the trailer looked good, and other times I'm like thinking, you know, there was a reason why I did like the first A Quiet Place movie, and it was because it really did feel like an original film directed by John Krasinski, who is also returning in this movie alongside Emily Blunt. And I feel like her role was so pivotal in the first movie that I feel like seeing a sequel to this really tarnishes the originality of the first movie. And even though some people might want to see more, I just feel like how much more can they possibly get into that won't seem like a rehash, and I feel like they are going to end up doing some time jumps or something with the storytelling. But I don't know, I may still end up checking it out, but I'm just at the moment feeling like this movie is not going to be as good as the first one. For my number 9 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. Now, I also did a trailer reaction to this, and there were some parts that looked kind of cool, and, you know, I was a fan somewhat of the other SpongeBob movie before this. And I think the only reason why I would want to check it out is because Keanu Reeves is having a little cameo appearance in this movie. And I feel like maybe that's the only reason why a lot of the adults are going to want to see this. And I don't know how big his role is going to be. And kids might still enjoy it because it's SpongeBob, of course. And the animation, it looks pretty cool as well. But for me, I feel like story-wise, it's just yet another adventure. I mean, if you want to watch SpongeBob, you could go back to watching the TV series. But I feel like these little movies are just sort of cash grabs. So I don't know if I'm exactly looking forward to seeing this movie at all. For my number 8 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, of course, when the first trailer came out, the look of Sonic was just god-awful. I mean, it didn't even look anything like the video game character. So then when they eventually improved, because they heard a lot of people complaining about the way Sonic looked, they came out with another trailer, and everybody's all excited and happy to see this movie, but not me. I still think the movie, even though some parts of it look fun, I kind of also have this worry that it's not going to be as good, and it really doesn't matter who is going to be acting in it as far as the human characters go, but I just feel like it's not going to be a movie that I'll end up truly enjoying. But you might still enjoy it if you were actually a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, like really hardcore a fan of Sonic. For my number 7 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for Fantasy Island. Now, this is a really random movie that I happened to see a trailer to, and I feel like this might be some kind of remake to something made from back in the day, and it's now this really crazy horror movie where everybody's stuck on this island. They're facing their like fears or things from their past, and it's coming back to haunt them. And I don't know, the acting just looks really subpar, and I just hope that it's not going to have too many jump scares, because I mean, I'm really on the fence about horror movies these days when it comes to jump scares. I'll definitely get into a couple of the horror movies that are also on my least anticipated list, but this is definitely one of them. So I don't know if I'll end up being disappointed with this movie in the end, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens when it gets released. For my number 6 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for the Fast and Furious 9. Now, I know a lot of people might still end up liking this movie, and that's totally okay. I mean, I feel like they've been milking this franchise since after Fast and Furious 7 came out, and of course, it's just really sad that ever since Paul Walker died, I mean, they've really wanted this franchise to be led by Vin Diesel, but I just feel like I don't know how much bigger and crazier these movies can possibly get. I mean, are they going to end up going in space to this movie? I just really don't feel like this movie is going to be any better than at least the last movie to come out, so I don't feel like this is going to be a movie that I'll want to see in the end. For my number 5 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for The Conjuring 3. Now, I don't really know what to make of this franchise at this point. I only pretty much liked the first 2 Conjuring movies, and then they made the spin-off The Nun, and then they sort of connected it with all those other Annabelle movies, and now they're coming back for a 3rd outing with the Warrens, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, and I feel like, I don't know what they could possibly do to make this any more terrifying, because when you keep making movies that aren't directed by James Wan, I tend to feel like they're not as great or even successful at this point. So I don't know, I feel like people who have enjoyed these movies will still end up seeing it, but I feel like if I end up seeing it, it's not going to be on opening weekend. And speaking of yet another horror movie to come out this year, for my number 4 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for Brahms The Boy 2. Now, I kind of enjoyed the first Boy movie. I feel like at this point it's a guilty pleasure of mine, and I'll watch it occasionally if I'm bored. And I don't know why they decided to make a sequel to this. I mean, I feel like the story was sort of completed, and I ended up seeing the trailer for this movie yesterday, so I really was not terrified to watch it. I feel like they're completely going in this more supernatural direction than the first movie entailed, and that's why I kind of found the first movie to be sort of suspenseful, and now I just feel like jump scares galore. Now nothing is surprising to me. So I don't feel like this movie's going to be any good. I don't know why they're releasing in the theater. It just looks like a straight to DVD release. So I mean, I feel like they're gonna lose money on this one, and they might not end up getting my money to see this movie when it comes out. For my number 3 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for Artemis Fowl. Now, I had been waiting so long to see this movie come out, and I feel like they had been pushing back the release date, and thanks to Disney, this is one of the movies that, you know, I had been waiting years to see, even long before they even announced it. And then when they did, I was looking forward to it, and I saw the trailer. I was not as impressed, so I don't know what they're waiting on. I honestly feel like this is literally what's going to happen with those Avatar sequels. The longer they wait to release these things, the worse reception they're going to get. So I don't feel like I'm going to be as excited to see this when it comes out, and I don't even know if I'll end up liking it in the end, but I just feel like at this point, it's been too long. My need for it is running really low. For my number 2 least anticipated film of 2020, it is for The New Mutants. Now, I know they just released a trailer for this movie recently, and considering the time that it took for them to finally come up with a true release date to be this year, I'm thinking this is yet another example of a movie that's taken so long for the movie to be released that, you know, people are going to be uninterested in it. And it doesn't matter who's in it, what the story's going to be about. I feel like this movie is going to suck. And it's kind of unfortunate because there are things about it that do look really cool. And I'm just worried that it's going to end up being a disappointing movie because ever since they had the Disney Fox deal, you know, this is the movie that had to deal with that whole thing. And then they finally let it come out, but I feel like at this point it's just going to be an average X-Men type of movie. Now for my number one least anticipated film of 2020, it is for Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. And now I really do not like or understand that subtitle at all. It's clear and obvious that this is going to be a Harley Quinn centric storyline when it should be about the Birds of Prey, which include Harley Quinn, Black Canary, and Huntress, and yet there's just so much going on. I mean, yeah, there's a new trailer that got released, so I'll do a trailer reaction for that, but I just feel like the more I see and hear about this movie, the less and less excited I get. And it's unfortunate because I am a hardcore DC fan, so I really want to see the DC movies succeed, but I also want to see them, you know, not just be these standalone spin-off type of movies and actually connect with the greater DC universe. And I feel like I'm still not seeing that, and I'm just not as excited for it. And, you know, who knows, I might end up enjoying it in the end. It might be a fun time at the theater, but I just feel like going in, I am really worried of how it's going to end up turning out and if I'm going to like it in the end. So, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous. That was my list of my least anticipated films of 2020. Let me know in the comments what you're not looking forward to seeing come out this year. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates. Come back every week for a Chill Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And I will see you guys later.